Did Eric Davis just confirm the UFO Legacy program? He might just have. Now, I have 4 different clips to show you in today's video, right? That's going to help explain this. Also included in those clips is a snippet of an upcoming interview I have with a gentleman that goes by the name Missleman online. More about him in just a moment. The first thing I'm going to play for you is a interview that Eric Davis did with Missleman, right, on the Jesse Michael channel, right, American Alchemy. Little preview of that, right? Link in the description for that full video. I highly recommend checking it out. Now, more about Missleman in just a moment. First, take a look at this clip of Eric Davis on American Alchemy.
If you were asked to appear before Congress under oath, would you willingly do that?
The only way I'll testify, actually, the reality is in a classified setting. DOD can come after me. What happened to Dave Grush? Physically harassed at his home and in his vehicles after he filed his whistleblower complaint. It was before he ever testified. All I have was the stuff that I accumulated and gathered going up through the OSAP and ATIP. And that's how I met Dave Grush. Right. Jay Stratton introduced me to Dave. He was the NRO liaison officer to the UAPTF. So anyway, I met both of them, and I gave Dave all my data, all my briefing information, and he took that, ran with it, and he found everything. George Bush, when he was the CIA director, he was given some pretty spectacular information about a major UAP event took place in the early 60s, and Bush's eyes lit up, and this is what he's told me. He said, "What are you talking about?" The Pentagon liaison officer told him all about it. He said, "Are you kidding me? There's a there?" Yeah. And he said, "Absolutely." And he said, "Well, I want to see the evidence." And the evidence was in the form of documentation, but the film was the primary thing.
So there's a lot of things said in that interview. I highly recommend checking it out. Again, link in the description. You'll quite rather enjoy what's said in there from Eric Davis. Now, if you notice in the back, right next to Eric Davis is a gentleman, right here, seen in this picture. His name is Missleman, right? And I had a chance to interview him. And more on that in just a second. Again, I've got a clip of that. But first, I want to play another clip from this same Jesse Michaels video where Jesse talks about Missleman and how he has essentially joined the team over at American Alchemy for sort of a scientific series of sorts. So you know what? Let Jesse explain a little bit better.
This conversation wouldn't have been possible without my technical correspondent, pseudonymously named Jack, or Missleman on Twitter. Jack has over 15 years of experience in defense and aerospace and holds a very strong background in mathematics, materials R&D, and physics. For now, he's chosen to remain pseudonymous due to his work in sensitive areas of national security. Jack and I are going to be starting a technical series together on UFO physics. It's going to be an extremely deep dive on how UFOs fly, the exotic principles they employ, and materials they use.
All right, so Jesse did such a better job of explaining that. So anyway, look, again, I had a chance to interview Missleman, or Jack as he's known, right, anonymously, about this Eric Davis interview and other things, to be honest with you. It was a fascinating conversation. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because that video is going to be coming out this week, right? So, all right, let's get to this clip that I have, give you a little snippet of what our interview was, and you can hear Jack or Missleman talk about the Eric Davis interview, but also something else he's going to bring up, because stay tuned to the end of this video because I have a special clip of Eric Davis speaking at the Soul Foundation that's finally been released, and those videos are going to be dropping very shortly, right? So stay tuned for that. Like when you walked away, right, and Eric Davis went right and y'all went left, what was like the first thought y'all had? Like, I'm sure there was like, oh, remember he said that, like, what was some of the things y'all were like excited that he had mentioned?
Yeah, there was definitely like hooting and hollering and high fives, and like we couldn't believe that had just happened. It was pretty amazing. What jumped out at me was the raw conversation about talking to HW, because somewhere back in the record in an interview somewhere he had mentioned that he talked to HW Bush about the existence of the program. But the detail that HW got read in sort of by accident by his DoD liaison officer, who thought that CIA already read him in the process of being selected as director, and the fact that he was not told about it again later when he became president, that lends credence to a lot of theories that presidents are not told, or they're told as little as possible. And on that note, what will serve as a really great like appendix to the Davis interview that we did is when the Davis and Kirk McConnell videos go up from Seoul, where they appeared together on stage. That will be really good because there's some complimentary questions that were asked of Kirk McConnell and of Davis while they were on stage. And I wrote a couple of questions that other interviewers took up to the stage to ask about different things. And one of those being this question of how much are presidents told.
So again, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can be updated of when that interview drops. It's going to be very, very soon. You're going to want to see it. It's a fascinating conversation. Now, let's get to this Soul Foundation clip that everyone's been waiting months for to be released, unless you were there, right, personally, which was a select few, Missleman being one of them. And as you can see, he got some questions in himself, right? So I've got a clip, again, of Eric Davis and the same clip that Missleman is talking about with Kirk McConnell, right? Here's a screenshot right here. You can see Eric Davis on the left, the host in the middle, and then on the far right, Kirk McConnell. So let's take a look at this Soul Foundation clip. I'll see you on the other side.
It's been pretty clear from people like Jim Lukatsky and President, 4-star Admiral, General, 3-star Admiral, Colonels, corporate vice presidents who've either been briefed on it directly or had worked on it directly, that it is of non-human origin. It's very clear. There's no ambiguity. So I talked to the program people themselves at one particular well-known aerospace company. And that was one of the things that gobsmacked me is this is not a myth. This is not people writing UFO books about the topic like Roswell Crash and Del Rio, Texas, and Lonnie Zamora and Bette Waters. There's a there. And these people are not dumb. They're not putting out BS. I was representing the Defense Intelligence Agency at the time, so they're not allowed to give me BS. And so definitely real. The descriptions I've received, foreign intelligence I've been exposed to involving this topic in foreign countries is pretty stark, including photographs I've seen, reports I've seen, and lab testing of materials that have been recovered.
So did Eric Davis just admit to this UFO program, right? Am I hearing that right? Sounds like he is, right? Now, I'll admit, we'll have to wait till the full interview comes out with the Soul Foundation. But if you go watch that Jesse Michels interview, you'll see, some revelations in that thing, right? And as well as my interview with Missileman, which I highly recommend checking out. But yeah, this is interesting, right? Everyone's coming out and admitting the program is real. What's interesting about this interview and the other interviews that Eric Davis has done, right? Because that interview at the beginning that I showed, the Jesse Michels interview, that was done at the Soul Conference, right? So these were kind of together, right? Eric Davis before hadn't done really any interviews, and all of a sudden you're just hearing from him a lot more, which I do find interesting. Is he just finally willing to open up, right? Hal Puthoff as well, right? It's like all these people are coming out of the woodworks that normally hadn't before to talk and give more details about things. So again, I can't wait to see that full video of Eric Davis and Kirk McConnell talking about this. And again, I highly recommend going to check out that Jesse Michels interview, link in the description. I've got a link in the description for the Soul Foundation stuff as well. And again, make sure to subscribe to the channel for that Missileman interview that should be dropping very, very shortly. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.